population.
Yes, I know. But
So,
mainly centric in Seoul?
yes, mainly in Seoul, yeah.
Mm.
So about 40, 50 cases in Seoul.
Ah, okay.
Among 10 million population.
Yeah.
Can you take it, the presenter file away now?
Yes, okay.
Because yeah, the participants can see only, yes, that's now
Okay.
better.
Got it. Okay, no problem. Yeah, there should be people coming in now soon, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is now we can all see each other and we can start chatting first.
Yeah. And where are you now? Is it in your office or now where are you?
My office.
Your office. Can you show me a little bit more with your
Yes,
camera? With the camera?
in my office?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm very curious.
So this is my wall, and it's got pictures of all my children, my wife, and articles about us.
Yeah.
And then comes all
wines,
the
the
wines.
bottles.
Yes. So you see, everything is there. Yeah. And of course, out here is I have a window that I can see all my 50 staff.
50.
50, yes.
Wow. Where are they?
Yeah. Well,
In
we have
many
50.
Asian
If we have 50 in Singapore, now 120 in the region.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, but you know, CJ, now it's 120 more headache.
Yeah.
Because I have to pay for all of them and they are all working from home. Okay, I think I have enough power. Yes, okay, I have enough power.
누군지 모르겠네. 이 사람이 저기 뭐야 응? 예. Are you speaker? 이렇게 물어보셨어.
CJ.
Yeah. It's this
Brunello.
Yeah, wow. This very nice one, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Fosso Cale 2015 Brunello, just received 97 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much is it? I mean, custom price in Singapore.
Probably $99.
US dollars or Singapore dollar?
Oh yeah, well probably okay, yeah. So 99 US dollars.
Wow, yeah. A good price.
Yeah, it's not bad for 97 points. Yeah, very good price. And so of course I have to be drinking.
I didn't come to the idea to drink some wines during this webinar.
Of course, we should.
We have here thousands of bottles, but I don't have anyone here.
You got it all wrong, CJ. You know, we are in the business, and if people don't drink wine, we have no business.
Yes. 나한테는 이게 거꾸로 보이지만 저 사람들한테는 바로 보이겠죠, 이제. I look you very good. 아니, 아무도 접속을 안 했나? I have to call now Andrew. Jihyung Andrew. 왜 접속 안 해요? 지금 우리가 대기자들 들려 부르고 있는데 김 박사님이 제일 중요한 사람이라서 지금 클린턴은 접속했어요. 예, 들어오세요. 그 아이디가 뭐라고 되어 있는지 모르겠네. 우리가 지금 스피커들만 먼저 불러드리려고. 저기 DHSI002 이거 아니죠? 아, 들어왔네. 예. 자, 이제 거기서 조절을 해보세요. 나탈리 왕. Wow, the background, Andrew. What is that? It's a bookstore? Hi, Natalie.
Hey, hi, Jihyung. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Good, quite good. How's everything in Korea?
It was good. We finished
It's good,
yesterday
huh?
the Asia Wine Trophy. And we missed you all. Clinton Ang from Singapore and you.
Yeah.
Jihyung enjoyed, Andrew enjoyed the tasting.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time. This year, travel is impossible,
Yes.
unfortunately. So how's the competition? How's everything?
Yeah, it was good. We have invited 83 jurors from
Ah,
7
wow.
countries, but all living in Korea. And
Oh,
we had
amazing.
a little more than 3,200 samples to taste.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Quite
a
a lot of
good
samples.
number. But compared to last year, it is a little bit less because we had to limit the number of the wines to taste.
Yeah, I think
Otherwise, we could not manage it due to a pandemic situation.
Yeah, I think for a lot of competitions, even here, I know they cut the entry numbers all shrank a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, you have a nice background.
Oh yeah, do you see Asia Wine Trophy 2020? At least you have to see these logos because you could not come to Korea.
Yeah, I know. It's a wow.
Do you see, Clinton, you have the background, very nice here, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you have the plants here.
Natalie, is
Okay.
it your office or your home?
I'm at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you are-
CJ, Jihyung, you're all missing the most important thing.
Hi, Mami.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, wow. Whoa, he has a wine.
So, Jihyung, for your information, yeah, Clinton has prepared a PowerPoint file. We have to know that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's making all of us a fool.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
but hey guys, I'm gonna go with the flow. If we're just gonna speak off the cuff, let's do it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I didn't prepare PDF.
No, I didn't either.
And Mami?
I can upload.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm fine, thank
Japan.
you. And you?
Mami, how are you?
Hi,
Hi,
hello.
hi, Clinton.
Hi, mommy.
Hi, hi,
하나 남았죠.
hi, Andrew. So it's okay, right? As you mentioned that I didn't, create any PowerPoint presentation.
No
Yeah, me
problem.
neither.
Yeah.
Only the Clinton Wang from Singapore.
Okay. No
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Because he
Okay.
cannot sell a lot of wines, he has time enough.
Okay. I get the picture. Okay, we're out. No PowerPoint. I didn't prepare anything. Okay, all right.
Okay.
At least he prepared wine. He comes with a
Yes.
glass of wine already.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's not very difficult when I'm in my office and it only has a lot of liquid assets.
Clinton, can you show your wine glass? I want to make a picture. You with the wine glass.
Oh, my wine glass. Oh.
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Always
that's
with wine glass. Thank you. And we are missing
It looks like a Spanish tempranillo.
Not far, buddy.
Ah, yeah.
we are missing David.
BDM.
It's a Foscale Brunello.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
yeah. When I tasted this wine blind, it was totally unknown, and then when I bought like 6,000 bottles of it, 3 months later, I received 97 points.
7,000 photos. My goodness.
Well, no, 6,000 bottles.
DHSI. I see. Okay, we
Get it to wine as well.
Yeah.
Just FYI. Oh,
Hi.
David.
Hello.
What's up,
Hi.
stranger?
Hi.
Well,
Hi, David.
I was here
Hi.
10 minutes ago, but then I couldn't write anything. I think I was not allowed.
We didn't accept you because we didn't know that you have this ID. The other ones have ID with their own name, but you just
Okay.
DHSI 002. Yeah, 002. That's a good number.
You're a spy.
You are
I tried
vice
to-
president of Taiwan Sommelier Association. You are not number one. You are number two.
Yeah. Always good to be humble.
So, are you prepared, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Okay,
So-
David, do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
Oh,
No.
get a cup of water,
What are you talking
please.
about?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Try
No
it,
PowerPoint
try it.
presentations.
Well, it's written in the email, Clinton. Okay, make sure you read your email, please.
Oh, really?
He even asking me how to access this one.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Oh,
Okay.
do we allow to have a glass of wine with the presentation?
Of course. We are in the business.
All right. So, what about whiskey?
Whiskey is fine too. Oh yeah, Glenjorok 21. Very nice. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So
Maybe
don't
it's okay
CJ is actually trying to look very serious, but actually he's drinking there. Yeah.
No, we have thousands of bottles, but I don't have here any bottle at the moment.
David Clinton, this year,
Mhm.
can you hear me? Yeah, this year
Yes.
I had five grand gold
Oh, good for you. Good
for the
for
first
you.
time.
Wow,
Never had a grand
really?
gold. Yeah,
Oh wow.
it's amazing. It's
So
amazing.
we have the results already this morning.
Oh,
yeah?
can you
And
send it to us?
I'm informed that we have about around 20 grand golds.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that's good.
And
But I
5
was
of them
very
came from
surprised.
Jihyung's table.
One
Yes.
a red one from Switzerland got grand gold.
Oh,
Wow.
Switzerland.
Interesting.
Sweats. Okay, that's very good.
Mhm.
wow. It's yeah.
Jose from so I think we are ready, and we will accept the request to join this webinar. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So we all know what is going. We're
Hi,
going
Vidya.
to discuss, right?
Mm-mm.
I just will put it here. Chat
Hey,
in.
Vidya.
이거 어제 들었거든요.
Hi.
So
Hi,
nice to see
Jason.
you.
Jason
Jason.
Willis. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
good.
Good.
Hey, man.
Hey, good to see you.
David.
Jason.
Hey, Clinton, have you gained weight?
What?
Have you gained weight?
비디오 요청 좀 한번 해주세요.
Dude, it's the angle, man.
비디오.
Yeah, but probably some circuit breaker fat
비디오
though.
시작했죠. Hi, Jose.
Mami-san.
Ramancha.
Hi.
Do you hear me?
Hi,
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. You look great.
Yeah, thank you. This is nice. This is like a reunion, no?
Hi,
Yeah.
hi, Jose. How are you?
Yeah.
Ah,
Jason. Yes.
Jason Willis.
Hey, that's Willie. Oh no, that's Jose. Sorry.
Same.
Okay, come on, everyone charge with glass of wine. Come on.
David.
David is drinking whiskey. You know, he's a whiskey brand ambassador, right? You're the
Hello,
Yeah.
Eric.
I thought so.
Hi. Eric in Holland.
Good morning.
Okay.
hello.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Oh, good with you.
So I would say wait so a couple of minutes more.
Mhm.
Sure.
So what are you drinking, Clinton?
Oh, I was showing.
Brunello Montalcino.
15.
That's decent.
Yeah, it's drinkable.
Oh, come on, it's a Brunello. That's good stuff, man.
이 사람이 키 스피커예요. 김지영 어디 갔어? 이 사람이 키 스피커 제일 많이 얘기할 거예요.
Hey CJ, can I ask Jose a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Jose,
Yes.
is your brother married?
Yes.
Ah, we
Finito.
will. Huh? He's legal.
Finito for him.
여기
Well, please extend our heartiest congratulations.
헝가리.
I will. We will call him
Congrats.
to enjoy us.
Hello to Hungary.
Joseph.
Hi to Hungary.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh.
hello.
Hi, Dr.
Hey.
Kusaka.
¿Se conectas al Zoom?
Hello, Jose.
¡Hey! A la conferencia de la Hsiao Trophy. Estamos todos conectados si quieres. Pues Jihyung, un montón de gente.
Jose, we are missing you.
Venga. Venga, te lo paso.
대표님 그 accept를 안 해줬나 봐요. 지금 밖에서 못 들어온다는 사람들이 있네요. There are some who cannot join this room. Please
우리가 다
accept
보고
them.
있는데. 자, 우리
Isabel wants to come.
접속된 사람 다 들어오게. 아, 이온 루카.
Oh, important.
이온 루카 from Moldova joins now.
Mm.
계속 수락해줘요.
I think I tasted his wine yesterday. Yeah, I liked. I could feel it. I could feel his
How was
touch.
the wine?
How many points did you give for the wine?
You know, I have a loyalty. So I gave him a gold. It was
Really?
silver. It was a strong silver, but I increased it to a weak gold.
Was it red or white?
It was red.
It was red.
It was red. Joking.
I think he did not enter red wines.
I'm joking. All right, can we start?
Yeah, if you,
In 2 minutes?
moment.
In 2 minutes,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If Yoon Luca shows his face, then we start.
Yeah.
이 사람 자기 안 들어온다는 거죠, 얼굴. 네? Okay. So, we start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar on COVID-19 influence and trends in the Asian wine market. My name is Chanjun-bak from Korea. I'm director of the Asia Wine Trophy and Asia Wine Conference. If I may introduce, the Asia Wine Trophy is the largest wine competition in Asia. It is patronized by the OIV, International Organization of Wine and Wine, based in Paris, France. During the days of the Asia Wine Trophy, we hold also Asia Wine Conference. This conference consists of master classes and seminars. Today's webinar is a program of Asia Wine Conference. I sincerely welcome you to this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We have invited 5 speakers from Asian countries. The key speaker is Professor Dr. Jihyung Andrew Kim from Korea. And the 4 speakers are Clinton from Singapore, David Hsiao from Taiwan, Natalie Wang from Hong Kong, Mami Whelehan from Japan. Now I'm giving up the microphone to the key speaker, Andrew. Please, Andrew.
Thank you, CJ. I'm so glad to see all of you today. And I had a long day and night in Daejeon by yesterday, last night, as you can imagine. We start from in the morning and another to next morning, as usual. So today is the first day I'm waking up without wine at this time. So maybe I could lead this conference better than yesterday as a team leader. Okay, first of all, as most of you know, last year I was general manager at the Cordon Bleu Seoul campus. Thanks to this opportunity, I moved to other university. I became a professor at Hanyang Women's University. It's quite well-known university in Seoul. And I'm teaching, of course, wine marketing and also consumer behavior, those kind of management classes. Yeah, so this is my biggest changes, biggest change after Corona pandemic. And actually, it's not because of Corona. I mean, I moved my job by myself. But I really believe, I think that most of you have been affected, in good way or bad way. So we want to share our experience internationally, and I would like to know the differences. This year and last year. So let's begin with. Introduce each other. So I will give the mic to Clinton first. Yeah.
It's not ladies first, Jihyung?
No, we're different.
Okay, guys, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Clinton. I'm Managing Director of Hoc Tong Bee CornerStone Wines, based out of Singapore and operating now in 28 countries. So it's a pleasure to be here and really missing the great yearly experience that we have with the Asia Wine Trophy, Jihyung and Andrew and everybody there. So actually my ticket was already bought and now it is in credit for next year.
Wow.
So looking forward to sharing with everyone.
Great. And so we go with I was looking for another man, but we are only 5 speakers today, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I will give the mic to Natalie.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm Natalie. I'm a Chinese wine journalist based here in Hong Kong. I'm the founder and creator of a news website called Vino News, which covers the wine market in China and Hong Kong and rest of Asia. I only created this website last year, but I'm quite happy the website is gaining quite a lot of traction. So just to cover and bring the latest news and developments, many focusing on China's wine industry. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with everyone who's interested to know a little bit more about China, Hong Kong, or rest of Asia at large.
Right. Then
Yeah.
I would like to send the mic to Mami, please.
My name is Mami Whelehan. Hsiao. I have been working in wine industry more than I would like to mention for a very, very long time. I've worked for one importer. Basically, it was a German wine company, but we carried about over 1,500 kinds of wine. So my experience is based on that. And at the moment, I am on my own. I work for myself, and some of the things I do in wine industry is wine market and development consultant to give advice to foreign wineries, try to get into Japan. That's one thing. And the second thing is wine marketing and PR. One of my clients that perhaps you know most would be the Onelaya and Maceto. And other activities, I act as an interpreter for winemakers who come to Japan. At the moment, I'm doing more interpretation over webinar because they can come to Japan. And I'm really into the social network service marketing and PR at the moment. For the last 5 years, that's the kind of area particularly I'm working with my interest, and also I'm really focused on it. Thank you so much for this opportunity to join you all. I'm very looking forward to this presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our last speaker is David from Taiwan.
Hi, David from Taiwan. Really miss you guys and really missing the Asia Wine Trophy this year. So I'm a wine trade, especially focusing in on-trades. And also I am contractor sommelier for various restaurants. And very fortunately that currently I am the vice president for Taiwan Sommelier Association. So TSA is the member of ASI, so Association Sommelier International. And also I work with NZTE Taiwan, so New Zealand Trade Enterprises Taiwan, as well as business fronts. So we work in various projects and restaurants. So that's a little bit about me.
Great, that's great. Okay, so let's go to the next topic. So I would like to give you a brief history of Corona in South Korea and situation. As you probably know, South Korea affected one of the first country after China. And then we had some extreme religious guys live in Daegu. And there was a big disaster. But I think government controlled quite well there. So after that serious pandemic situation, I mean, after March, it's been really came down. So now in total, I mean, from this January to until 15th, as of 15th of October, we have 25,000 people were infected and 439 deaths. And yesterday we had how many? 110 confirmed. Yeah. So these days, every day we have a more or less same about 100. Last week was less than 100. But we have a little bit increased number yesterday, 110. Yeah, so the situation is still going on, but yeah, but we feel a bit more confident that we could manage this pandemic. You know, with if wear a mask properly, you know, those kind of things. We are not that freaked out anymore. So yeah, this is our Korea's current situation. Yeah, and I give the mic to Clinton as before.
Okay. Yeah, so this Singapore is an island. So we are currently the 50th most affected country by COVID standards. And so we've got, oh boy, what are the numbers? We've got 58,000 affected and 27 deaths. But I think you got to take it. I mean, it's not a whole lot. I mean, our death ratio is really good because I mean, I think healthcare in Singapore is optimum. I think the issue here is if you look at Singapore on a per capita basis, for a small country of 4.5, 5 million people, 50,000 is quite a large ratio. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's really restricted to the construction migrant workers who were more grossly affected here. But in recent days, in the last 2 weeks, we've pretty much got 0 cases to 1 to 2 cases every day. So things are looking brighter now. But as you well know, Singapore is an island, and basically we need all of you. 4.5, 5 million people in Singapore is not going to do a lot for Singapore's economy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Natalie, please.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, I am from mainland China. I've been living here in Hong Kong for more than 8 years now. I think, you know, as China was the place where the virus originated in January, so things were very intense at the very beginning when figures were coming out. You know, for a few months, I think, you know, the country was placed under strict lockdown. I think the main difference between when we talk about lockdown in the Chinese sense and Western sense in Europe is quite different. I'll give you one example. I haven't been back to my hometown Chongqing in China for, you know, more than a year. But when they were checking, you know, whoever is coming into a community, the community officer will call my parents and grandparents to see if I have plans to go back from Hong Kong to China. If I do go back, I will be placed on a 14-day quarantine on the spot where I land. Then once again, you finish the 14-day quarantine, you go into another 14-day quarantine. So everything is very strict, and where they track your movements. So at the very beginning, it was very worrying. And but luckily, I think now in August, by the time of July, August, things got under control. So right now in China, I think the total infected number is a little bit over 19,000, but we haven't had any domestically transmitted disease for over a month, and things have returned back to normal in China. And in Hong Kong, we're seeing a similar trend. We you know, got the virus under control early on, but things got a little bit worrying, and now it's gradually getting better. So we're you know, getting our fingers crossed. But once again, I think a lot of the bars and pubs, restaurants, like anywhere else, took a significant hit during the pandemic. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, even today, I just read the news. Hong Kong and Singapore are in talk to open up a travel bubble. So, you know, hopefully that will happen soon, because Hong Kong is a tiny island. There's nothing much for us to discover. We have to travel to, I mean, I look forward to the day when we can travel to Korea and to Japan, to Singapore again.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah.
Mami, please.
Okay. Okay. I start from the figure of the people who got infected by this virus. As of October 12th, over 90,000 people got infected in this country, and over 1,600 people passed away. And at the moment, people are not really panicking anymore. And like Andrew said in Korea too, I think we are very careful, but then we are not panicked anymore. People started traveling domestically. The government provided this go-to campaign, which gives you the huge discount on staying at hotels and ryokans. And so people have started moving around domestically. And as a matter of fact, expensive high-class hotels, you cannot book, some of them you cannot book until the end of January, because discount rate is huge, and lots of people would like to stay at this kind of expensive hotels. Our foreign ministry, now they are considering to remove the request for 2 weeks self-isolation after returning to Japan. I think this will encourage Japanese people to go overseas. because, well, when we go in now, for example, certain countries, we don't need to do the self-quarantine, but to come back, we have to stay at certain hotels. It's not the law, but it's almost like a law. So basically, we do it if we go out, outside of the country, come back for 2 weeks. They have to stay at certain hotels. Travel advisory, the foreign ministry is planning to actually lower down reduce the level of warning. At the moment, it's level 2, which means that if it's not the urgent and unnecessary trip, you are advised not to go overseas. But it will come down very soon, I think, to level 1, which means that they just travel with a great caution. So this again will, and this would apply to all the countries in anywhere in the world. That's what they're saying. So that if it happens, I think we can start traveling again. Interesting fact about Tokyo is the population. Ever since June, the population has been declining. And as of September 1st, 13.9 million people live in Tokyo. And the reason for this decrease of population here is first reason, remote work. Second reason, people who lost a job in on-trade business, they moved out of Tokyo, went suburb or countryside. And also some foreign residents who stayed for a while after Corona started spreading here, but they actually went back home. So it is very, very difficult for non-Japanese to come here at the moment because first, okay, unless it's a business trip, we don't accept non-Japanese. And they come in first 2 weeks self-isolation. So it's not really realistic at all. Regarding remote work, again, this is also interesting figure that on average in Japan, 23.2% of people do remote work, but in Tokyo and Tokyo metropolitan areas, 38.8% of people do remote work. This means that 4 out of 10 people, to whatever the extent, basically they do the remote work. That's it.
Thank you, Mami. David?
Yes. Right, so a few numbers first. In Taiwan to date, we have 530 confirmed cases with 7 deaths. And just to give you an idea that we have 23 million in terms of population. So I think we are doing fairly well in comparison to the rest of the world. Good thing is that ever since the pandemic, there was no lockdown ever in Taiwan. So we've controlled it fairly well. One of the reasons perhaps is because our extensive experience with SARS some years ago. And people tend to love to wear a mask in Taiwan all year round. So that really helps a lot. On the other hand, at the moment, there are a few laws that are being enforced in Taiwan. One is social distancing. So indoors 1.5 meter and outdoors 1 meter. And the other thing that's being enforced strictly is the public transport where a mask is a must. You have to wear, otherwise they don't have to transport you. So they can tell you to get off the bus or get off the MRT, the metro system, or you won't even be allowed. So that is a must. However, on the other hand, with the overseas, similarly like Japan, a 14-day quarantine is strictly enforced. And so especially I think at the moment, they only allow the people with, or the citizens with the Taiwanese passport to enter. They are very strict on the foreign passports. Otherwise, 14 days is a minimum and is absolutely required, and they're enforcing that very strictly. And the government do not encourage us to do overseas traveling. as well. But I think that is perhaps another reason why Taiwan is sitting at a rather only 530 cases confirmed. So I think that's one of the reason why we did it quite well so far. But again, fingers crossed on that. I think it's about since 2 or 3 months ago where domestic traveling is huge. So we can't do overseas traveling, but domestic is huge. Anywhere outside Taipei, especially Taipei City, hotels, B&B, restaurant are fully booked. So that is, we call it the, I'm not too sure if that's also the word for outside Taipei or Taiwan, that we call it this revenge consumption. So people like, they want to spend money, they want to travel, but they can't do it overseas, so they turn it into a domestic. Well, but Taiwan is rather small, but luckily we do have some, very good scenery places. We have places where, it's usually we do overseas traveling, then we forgot that, well, there is a lot of places where Taiwan is worth traveling. So that's from Taiwan.
Well, great. Yeah. I saw the news about Taiwan. I mean, every day. I really envy you. It's so good. It's really nice. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we share our situation now everywhere. Let's begin with the topics, given topics. Okay. So next topic is how COVID-19 affected your job. Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not that affected, affected that much. That's true. But I will explain about the wine business situation for the next topic. But most of you now are really in wine business. I'm pretty much sure there are big changes. I mean, so this time we just share about our private life. Maybe it's better. Then I can give you one funny story. My first son this year he has to go to elementary school, but as you know, elementary school is blocked. So March and April he went to he didn't go to school, but from May he goes to school once a week. So the class has been separated with the two groups, and total number of elementary school in Korea now is about 25 and 24. So they split the class by 12 and 12. So and then he goes once a week, but luckily by next week now he will go to school every day. So government has been changed the rule very recently. Yeah, quickly. Yeah, that's all. And Clinton, you drink more wine, right?
Yeah. So now we're speaking on the business aspect. Okay, so obviously most of you know I'm a wine merchant, and I don't operate just in Singapore, but I operate in 28 countries. When the lockdown happened in April in Singapore and in China, I think in February, just to give you an idea, in Singapore, business was down huge. I mean, April, May, June, our on-trade business was down 80%. So that's massive. And then of course, all over the region, we were not spared. In fact, the only countries that we saw that really bucked the trend was obviously in Taiwan, definitely followed by Vietnam. Everywhere else was devastated. I mean, I think everywhere was pretty much the same for on-trade, down 80%. But to say that, I mean, we kind of anticipated that slowdown was coming, but we didn't expect it in the form of a pandemic. But while on-trade dropped, so obviously we have built quite a strong direct sales, online and corporate business, and that actually went up 500%. So if you balance that out, essentially we were still down about 25-30%, because obviously on-trade for us was 80%, and then off-trade was 20%. So that if that went up, this went down, essentially we're still down 20-25%. Never have I, in my 23 years of business, of overseeing this business, have I ever seen a 25% drop in business. So the shock was there, but alongside it came actually a lot of opportunities. But I will tell you, it's quite tough. There's been massive retrenchments in the industry. Many of the merchants are overstocked. Cash flow is an issue. Several of them have closed down. A lot of them have streamlined and cut staff, and all these scenarios. So it's been really tough going. But as I'll share later on, there's always a silver lining.
All right. Natalie, please.
Yeah, indeed. I think, I echo, exactly. In China, when this happened, the on-trade sector, because I'm a wine journalist, so my job is really to write about what's happening in the market, So when though I don't sell wines, but when you talk to merchants in mainland China, like the lead players, Taurus China, ASC, or EMW, when you talk to them, because those traditional wine companies are heavily dependent on trade. So when we say heavily, maybe 80% to 60% of their wine sales come from, hotels, restaurants, and bars. So when the country announced a total lockdown in late January, in February, when I talked to Taurus managing partner, 80% of their sales were down. That's 80%. And even now, when China recovered, things went back to normal. Still, we haven't seen the same level of consumption that we saw before. Even with the recovery now, I think overall the wine market in China is going to be down by at least 30% this year. So it's something that's been significantly hit. And also, you have to be aware when we are talking about markets. Yeah, markets in the US or in America, people say, well, on-trade is down, retail is down, but we see this kind of surge in online wine sales. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in mainland China, because a lot of the times people still drink, even if they buy alcoholic beverages. Wine is not their first choice. It comes baijiu, the Chinese spirit, then beer, and then a little bit wine. Wine consumption, that's roughly about 10% of the country's overall consumption. So that's quite, it's quite worrying. And even last year, because China's market was going through a reshuffling period, because of the economic downturn, because of the trade war with the US, people tend to forget last year, China's wine market already suffered a drop, actually 10%, nearly 10% drop in value. So on top of that, with the COVID this year, so the market really took a hit. But then across the border, when we go to Hong Kong, it's pretty much the same situation. As you probably heard about, the protest last year. So that affected quite a bit, I think, on a lot of importers and merchants on trade and off trade. So, going into 2020, people were hopeful, quite optimistic, thinking, this year is going to be different. And we're going to finally catch a breath and, re-energize ourselves. But then came the pandemic. And similar to mainland China, a lot of the importers, merchants are dependent on trade. So when that sector is decimated, sort of pushed a lot of people to sort of suddenly revamping their website and, create online channels, which help to salvage what's lost from the on-trade channel. But once again, like Winston said as well, similar to Taiwan and similar to Vietnam and Singapore, people tend to consume a little bit more at home, start to order wines, and the hotel business is fully booked, I think, by August. the occupancy rate at most hotels at 70%, 80%. So we're seeing encouraging signs going forward, and I hope this will continue as well. So that's a basic summary of what's the situation on the ground in China and Hong Kong. Yeah.
Great. Okay, Mami, please.
Okay, so I talk about the effects of COVID-19 on my work. Well, basically, after this epidemic happened, the communication with my clients is online. I do lots of meetings online, and I don't really need to go into the meetings anymore. Wine marketing and PR, that's kind of a major part of my work. And this also enables me to actually work at my home office too. In Japan, we were behind when it comes to the social media marketing and PR, online marketing PR. But I think one good thing, like Clinton said, there's always a good side. I think lots of importers noticed that we have to move on to this, the social media marketing PR. So it's happening in Japan. And my work related to that is like creating contents for Facebook and Instagram, and also the in charge of an account of the foreign winery. This sort of work increased. Also, their work related to webinar, looking after the masterclass and also act as an interpreter, that got increased too. So this is a good side. And wine dinners, well, I am planning to start gradually, but I'm very careful because I consider the risk involved in it. And to take measures against Corona is something very serious, and you can't take it, So you have to take it seriously. This means that there's so many procedures you have to go through. So unless I know what I'm doing exactly, I don't wish to start this part. The last thing I would like to mention is that the cross-industry collaboration, I was always quite active in this field. But now what I would like to do is that we'd like to work with a certain industries, like companies, make camping goods, and also the companies which make the gardening goods, because these areas are really growing. Say like gardening at some company, 14.5% growth, and also lots of people go camping because we can't go overseas. We go somewhere and enjoy nature. So this kind of fields, plus as you are, I think we all agents tend to be crazy about food. So to work with a food company is really a great idea. I will explain more detail about this later. Yeah, so that's all.
Thank you, Mami. David, please.
Yes. I think the most obvious change is that there is absolutely zero international traveling for this year. So that changed a lot of things, to be honest. But on the other side, without international traveling, actually got me more busy, because I have never ever traveled domestically as much or as many as I have been to this year so far. Mainly because of the collaboration I have with Puerto Rico. And this year, even more, is that I have the opportunity to work together with Diageo. So they've invited me to do a lot of trade dinners in different cities and places. So I have actually traveled Taiwan more than I ever did. Even to little places, countryside, but hosting these trade dinners for Puerto Rico and Diageo. So that's one side. But coming back to the wine trade, I mean, I do entree, especially for New Zealand wines and French wines in Taiwan. So there has been a slight change. I can confirm with what Clinton and Mami and Natalie just mentioned, that in Taiwan, there is not a huge drop in terms of entree sales. I do not have an official figure, but just by my own experience and the importer around me, there is only a slight drop, approximately 10%. And that's the number that, you know, just out of rule of thumb. So we're doing quite well in terms of wine entrees in Taiwan. But, you know, fingers crossed again, we still hope for the best. On the other hand, but having said that, hotels in Taipei City is suffering severely.
Yeah.
For one example, Mandarin Oriental Taipei, the entire hotel group is closed, but their restaurants are still under operation. So no more rooms, no more room service for Mandarin Oriental, but their outlets with all their restaurants are still open and making good money or doing good business. So that's one slightly more extreme example, but that is how the Taipei City hotels are suffering. So that's for that. And on the other side, so with me, with NZTE, so New Zealand Trade Enterprises and Business France, they actually move more of their promotion to online, so more online promotion activities. So there is one project that we have just accomplished with NZTE, is an official website where we do promoting Taipei restaurant, whoever listing New Zealand wines. So we actually have a formal website for that, and it's more or less like a mini Michelin in a sense, but what we're listing is good restaurants with good New Zealand wine listing on their wine list. So we select them and then we do a full report. So basically telling the consumer, say, look, here are the list of restaurants who are serving fantastic, outstanding cuisine, as well as pairing with lovely New Zealand wines. So that's more of an online promotional campaign and activities that we're doing in Taiwan with some of the officials. Yep.
Great. So now we go most interesting topic for this seminar is about to share the statistics. How much percent do you increase or decrease compared to last year? So actually, I have checked consecutive 5 years, but I'm just want to share, like as CJ asked, this year and last year. I go first. In Korea, really surprised that, as David mentioned, revenge purchasing, right? You say revenge purchasing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the word. In fact, as a professor now, I checked the word of revenge purchasing by Google Scholar, but there is no such a word academically. You know, this is a word from journalists. So there's no definition of it, but we all know what it is, right? So assuming that it's happening, of course, happening in Korea. So I will share 2 different ways that from the field that my colleagues in Korea, how they are suffering or having fruits of this pandemic. And also I'm going to introduce about the figures by KITA, Korea International Trade Agency. So I'll go with KITA first, official figures. So by volume and by value, this year in Korea, as you can imagine, first January, the volume was decreased about 4.3%. Value is about, in January.
Oh.
I'll give you just approximately total. I don't want to separate both That's more
Okay,
specific.
great.
Okay, I will talk to you the value, because most of us loves good wines, than cheap wines. So value goes first. Okay. January was minus 0.5 by value. That means Korea started to drink more expensive wines than before. And February it was decreased minus 3. Is around minus 4%. In March minus 2%. And from April, it's interesting to see. From April, the importation has been increased from April. So from April, it's been increased about 0.17%, more or less same. But May, 5.4% increased, and in June, 24% increased.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you compare how much decreased before and after increased, it's dramatically increasing. You can see in July, 7.18% increased. In August, it's really surprising. In August, 30% increased compared to last year in Korea. Okay,
30% or 3%? What is
30,
the percentage?
30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
By value.
Yeah, by value, yes. By volume was 20.7, so more or less same in August. So I will give you more deeper statistics by big markets in Korea, E-Mart, Lotte Mart, maybe most of you know. In Lotte Mart, I have a specific figures just for third quarter of 2020. No, don't be shocked. In Lotte Mart, in total wine sales increased 71.4%.
Oh, wow.
And I go first with the Lotte Mart. Okay, and the interesting thing is they start to sell really cheap Spanish Tempranillo. Okay, and the cheap Tempranillo, their selling price in Korea is about $4 to $5 US dollar. Their selling price at the market, which means as an importing price, I mean FOB price, from my experience, it's about 0.5 euro something, right? The cheap bottles. And this leads the Korean wine market because they say that, Lotte Mart said that the first wine experience, I mean the buyer who purchased wine for the first time in their life, the percentage of total wine purchasing is over 50. So that cheap wine leads the cheap wine market. I mean, because as you know, Korean people drinking a lot. You know, we're the second to drinker, right, by alcohol. So we drink lots of soju. But now, because the wine, the cheap Tempranillo Spanish wine, it's selling really well. So I have some figures that under €9 was increased 66.4% third quarter of this year, and $9 to $27 increased 28.7%, around 30%, and $28 to $48 increased 48%, and over $48 increased 51%. No, it's a big increase in Korea. And I have more figures from E-Mart. As you know, E-Mart is the biggest discount store in Korea. Clinton's best place to buy chocolate, right? He bought a box of chocolate every year from E-Mart. Anyway, E-Mart, they said that in total, E-Mart this year, they have increased 27% of wine sales. And from this January to August, the wine is more expensive than $100. Is 30% increase. Okay, so expensive wines are selling much better before. and very expensive premium luxury wine over $1,000 increased 85%. Aha. And it's a really interesting figure again. The wine from $750 to $850 increased 411%. That means you can, okay, I'm checking, CJ, time, yes. That means that that price range is the first gross of the Bordeaux, right? No, by the supermarket. So those kind of wines will increase a lot compared to last year. And even a CVS convenience store, they say that from this January to September, their sales increased 200%.
Wow.
And compared to 2018, the sales of CVS has been increased 8.5 times bigger than 2 years ago. So that means CVS sales is quite increasing because people now buying more next shop at your home. So mainly, but as you can imagine, Horeca market has been like collapsed really here. So all the wine purchasing at on trade went to off trade, and also there is a big trend that people drinking at home, and as I think a sort of revenge purchasing, they start to drink more good wines, valuable alcohol. So this is obvious situation in Korea. So
Andrew, I
yes.
have a question. So
have a
late
question.
September, I have read an article released by Wine Australia. According to Global Compass 2020, published by Wine Intelligence in August, South Korea is now the second most attractive wine market in the world after the US. And the number 3 is Germany, number 4 is China, number 5 is Poland. And Singapore has 12th place. Do you think that this statistics regarding Korea, yeah? Can you imagine that these statistics are right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's right. And I want to say one more thing about this market. I moved to the university this year, and then I started a new project.
Yeah.
With the Chanel, and now I'm their F&B consultant. And then they said that their luxury markets in Korea has been increasing a lot too. They even said that they have much less sales increasing in China compared to Korea, the Chanel.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the people here, I think they spend more and more on premium goods.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very interesting, to see. Yeah. All right. Thank you. And Clinton, please.
Okay. I think Jihyung's points are awesome because that's going to be a great lead up to the observations that I made in Singapore. So first of all, I think I can break them into two parts. I've got Singapore went into the lockdown in April. So April, May, June, and then June, July, August onwards. Okay. So during those times, as I mentioned to you, our on-trade was down 80%, and our online and direct was able to recover, to grow quite significantly. One thing that I realized also and as I said, I always look at things in a reverse psychological manner. A lot of my competitors were cutting staff, streamlining, trying to destock and various things. And the key thing for me was there were a lot of very good, primarily salespeople that were kind of being, I would say, minimalized in this situation. And a lot of them were looking for alternatives. And so my headcount pre-COVID was in March was 39, and today we are 52. And we hired all of them during the lockdown. So I hired all of the salespeople during the lockdown. Now, post-lockdown, and during the lockdown, we also realized this, and this puts paid to what Jihyung mentioned. So if you were normally going out to a restaurant and you were buying a $100 bottle in a restaurant, it probably is wholesale at $30 to $40 maximum. Okay, so once now they are buying and for consuming at home, they realize that if since I'm used to spending $100, okay, well, now times are not very good. Well, I will buy $75, but they're still getting a much better value compared to the $40 that they were getting normally spending at a restaurant. So that explains why people were really moving up the scale and eating better and drinking better. And now I'm sure all of us can experience that. All of us realize that we all can be kind of home chefs and home sommeliers and drinking better and eating better at home. So that is definitely a movement, and we saw this even more post lockdown. We opened up in June, so the July, August, September, our on-trade went from 80% down back up to about 75%, 25% down. Okay, so we recovered. Our online sales dropped from 500% up to 350% up. Overall, I will tell you, for July, August, and September, my overall sales now is 50% higher pre-COVID. Okay, so it's very interesting. And of course, I would say that it's sheer luck, but I always say that I try to look at a silver lining. When people are divesting, I am buying. When people are letting people go, if they're good, I'm hiring. So we had an increase in manpower and various things, but essentially people realize that it's better now to buy better, and entertain at home, to give better value, and they can really be home chefs and home sommeliers in a sense. And this, I think, will be the trend post-COVID. I think there is going to be a movement towards better quality, better wine, better life. Okay, so this is the key, and we've always been focused on the mid to the super premiums. The mainstream, yes, supermarkets have increased sales. They've increased their numbers. Their volume, the value hasn't increased as much because that is their kind of general demographic. So most of the people who've been buying online have been buying significantly better. It's about bang for the buck. It's better mid to the high end. Drink better, guys. Okay, so I think now it's Natalie's turn.
Yeah, Natalie, please.
Definitely. I think that's very encouraging to hear what Winston said, Clinton said. I think, it's really great to hear that, wine importers who use this as an opportunity to grow. I think it's fantastic. But for China, unfortunately, just based on data that are released by the government or just by talking to importers, the situation on the ground is quite pessimistic. I would say up till June, but when things now got better, I think there's more optimism in the air as on-trade sales recover. So let's look at the figures. This year, in the first half of this year, the imports in the country declined by 31%. That's by volume to 2.214 million liters in the first 6 months of the year. In value terms, we see the same drop, around 32% to $831 million US. So this is quite a significant drop. We're seeing double-digit drop. And up until now, we're in October. So as I said, things start to get better. People are going out to drink and order a little bit more. So did the situation improve? But based on the figures that we have, the latest data from the Chinese government up till August, it's still declining. Even in August alone, imported wines dropped by another 37%. So we're actually seeing the widening of the drop. unfortunately, unlike the situation in Korea, where we see a increase, gradually in July and August, we're still seeing 37% decrease. And yeah, that's quite worrying. And from January to August, in mainland China, volume-wise, still the drop is about 32.6%, and in value terms, we see the same drop, 32.6% by value to 1.58 billion US dollars. So it's not where we can't really catch a breath yet, but it's gradually recovering. But as I said before, a lot of people forgot, even last year, China's wine market was already going through a significant restructuring process, because as I said before, the economy is slowing down and the trade war with the US really hurt the sector, because a lot of people in China don't consider wine consumption as a daily beverage to go with food. For a lot of people, it's still a very it's still in the luxury segment. That sort of really damaged the consumption momentum, because when people are tightening up their wallet, they have to focus on essential buying. So naturally, they're cutting down spending on wine as a discretionary consumption consumer goods. But once again, the encouraging thing coming out of the pandemic is that online sales really boomed. When I say that, it's because previously China already was the biggest consumer for online products in the whole world, ahead of the US, ahead of Europe. But what happened during the pandemic, we see a significant shift where this consumption habit was accelerated by the pandemic. People are moving online to buy a little bit more, and we see people who previously don't buy things online now are purchasing goods. So we see that changed significantly, which hopefully will be translated into wine sales as well. But overall, I think it's quite worrying. And lately, as we probably all see in the news, China and Australia are now going head to head. That's worrying because Australia is the biggest wine supplier to China, accounting for roughly 40% of China's imported wine market. Now China's, because of political reasons, economic reasons, China's threatening to impose roughly 200% of import tariff on Australian wines. If that happens, that would put Australia's billion-dollar wine industry at risk. And definitely we're going to see more knock-on effects as well. So that's something quite worrying, and everyone is watching closely. Hopefully, they will find a reasonable way to sort out their differences. But until now, I think everyone's sort of sitting on the edge of their seat. But once again, there is optimism in the market. As we said, the consumer base is so big, and then as people get a more affluent, wine naturally is becoming a more aspiring product for people to share with friends. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it in China.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, no problem.
Mami, please.
Okay, so I will divide this part of my presentation into two sections. In first part, I will talk about the sales in general, internet sales market, and also about the imported wines. And in the second section, I'll give you the figures provided by the National Tax Agent. Okay, the first part, it's about the general sales, wine sales. First half of 2020, as I told, in general, the 5% less sales. And domestic wine sales is going up, it's 5% up, and imported wine sales is 9% down in the first half of this year. This is, I think, a worldwide trend during this pandemic that people tend to drink domestic wines. So I think it's a natural kind of a movement. The sales according to channel, the on-premises market is before the stay-at-home period. After that, after stay-home period, 40 to 50% down. That is a huge decrease, because over 50% of sales actually comes from on-trade in this country. And the home consumption is to dip up. People tend to drink casual wines, and mid-price bracket to high-price bracket wines are not doing well. Okay, so the second part is the internet sales. According to the One e-commerce platform, the wine internet sales from March to August moved from 110% to 130% of a previous year. So you can see the huge increase here. And the third part, it's about the imported wine. The biggest problem now is the decline sales of champagne. Because lots of champagne brands relied on the night market, host clubs and hostess clubs in Ginza and Roppongi. Those places are closed now, and they're not doing well at all. So those sales are gone. And I cannot reveal the name of the brand, but the one brand actually, the sales went down over 40%. So the 40% less than previous year, which is huge. The interesting thing is, I'll talk about another brand. This brand actually, in that segment, the sales is very bad, but in another segment, because they have lots of SKUs, SKU for the B2C business is actually increased 2-digit. So you can see it if you do well in a B2C business, you are okay. But if you really rely only on trade, you're finished. So that's the problem in Japan at the moment. So the second part, I'll give you the figures of provided by National Tax Agent. Since Andrew mentioned the in terms of value, I'll also mention only the in terms of value. From January to June, you don't actually really see their decline so much. In terms of value, from January to June of this year, compared to the same period of 2019, sparkling wine is 80.1%, still wine is 114.9%. So it's not really pessimistic, not really. And after July, month of July went down to sparkling wine is 36.4%, still wine 80.8% compared to the last July 2019. And August, month of August, compared to the August of 2019, sparkling wine is down. It's actually 82.5%. Still wine is 70.6%. So you can really see that after July, because when you think about how long it'll take to bring wine from Europe and other countries over here, the wines that importers placed an order, they actually came in around July, August, September. So it really shows the effects of COVID-19. And particularly, I think, unfortunately, sparkling wines, particularly champagne, is very much affected. This is a very serious, I think, concern. Okay, that's all from Japan.
Wow, it's surprising. the champagne figures.
Yeah, I think we should drink as Korean people do.
Send it to Korea. I'll finish it. Okay, David, please.
Right, so I think I'll start with some official numbers. These are from National Treasury Administration, Ministry of Finance. So these are the official figures. Basically, roughly in Taiwan, we're 23 million in terms of population. We drink approximately a bottle per capita, which is not a huge deal. However, if we break down into different segments, so if with 2019, comparing 2019 and 2020, so these are the figures from January to the end of July. So in 2019, the volume that we import is approximately 100,000 hectoliters, and in 2020 it dropped about, in terms of volume, about 1.62%. So, it's really reinforcing what the current situation of the pandemic in Taiwan is, that, of course, again, fingers crossed, even though we're doing quite well in the first half year, so the decrease in terms of volume is actually quite minute, so 1.62% in terms of volume. However, on the other hand, value decreased by 6.19%. So if we work the number into, so I took a step further into, if we look into the value that we import per liter, so we divide the two numbers, so it decreased at 4.68%. So that is the value per liter that has been decreased since the earlier this year, 2020, compared to 2019. So if we interpret from what we have in terms of these figures, that people still still consume wines, but they tend to consume wines with more introductory, I hate to use the word cheap, but more introductory, entry level in terms of volume for their consumption. And that actually works out to, in the more generic, general numbers as well, is people tend to spend more money when they do their grocery shops in supermarket, hypermarket. So they pick up a bottle or two more than what they've been before. So they spend more wisely, in a sense, and more conservatively, where they still like to buy, treat themselves, but then perhaps buying a more entry-level daily luxury, daily drinking wines instead of a more luxury, in a sense. So that is something that we're experiencing in Taiwan right now. And also, there is a demographic difference as well, is that in terms of wholesale, there is a figure that in the northern part of Taiwan, of course, the most important being the Taipei city, there has been a drop of 30%, 30 in sales. But in the southern part of Taiwan, the wholesalers drop was only 10%, so 10. So outside Taipei city. So I think the people who lives in Taipei, or the capital city, tends to be a bit more concerned, because most of the confirmed cases was actually confirmed in Taipei. So perhaps we're a bit more cautious and be more careful in terms of consuming when it comes to Taipei city. But outside Taipei city, I think they're more happy to spend in a sense. So that's for this part in terms of wholesalers. But also, interestingly enough, there is one particular example I'd like to share, is that one of the biggest beverage company in Taiwan called Hsiao, I'm not too sure if Clinton, you know, Hsiao. So they are the producer for the most the most sell soda drink in Taiwan. So they're big, they're huge. They've been here for forever in Taiwan. So they actually collaborated with Aquila Wines from Australia from September this year. So something that just happened last month. So now Hsiao is the distributor, or probably say they have a collaboration. So they are importing Hardy's, Kumala, and Ben Rock from Aquila Wines. So they actually made a huge debut at a press conference last month. But these are somehow, just to reinforce on the numbers that we've seen officially, is that the Taiwanese are, in a sense, getting more mature, not just going for the very expensive wines. Of course, I mean, especially with the Burgundian, they're still doing fantastic sales. But on the other hand, with the more daily drinking wines, we see more varieties. These big shots, conglomerates, they are happy to actually look into a more daily luxury, daily drinking wines in Taiwan recently, due to this pandemic scenario. Yep, that's from Taiwan.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Okay, it was a big and deep discussion and explanation or so. So the last question: the new wine trend in your country. Do we need to do it, CJ? I think we shared lots of information already.
We can go ahead with the last topic, because that is really very interesting. I have here some wine producers from Spain and from Moldova. Maybe they have some questions. I think it would be better if we go now Q&A.
Okay, thank you.
You agree?
Yeah.
So I would say, Ion, you're on. Do you have any questions to us?
Hello, dear friends. Happy to still be somehow connected to all of you during harvest time. It is a difficult time for us. We are finishing the harvest. Well, first question is for you, Chanjun. When will be the results for the Asia Wine Trophy? Because we will wait for the results.
Yeah. So this morning, Korean time at 9 a.m., we have received the results from Berlin, but we have to wait to inform you, because we still don't know whether the Berlin, my colleagues, have officially released the results. But we have the results. Okay. And we can talk after this webinar. We can talk about your wines. I know now.
You mean about my medals, not about my wines? Yeah. How do I get my medals?
Yeah. I mean, about medals of your wine. Yeah.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you all for the very interesting information. I really can confirm lots of things that have been said today. I'm happy to have my wines in Korea. I'm happy to have my wines in Japan and in China. And it confirms 100% my result this year. I have a small increase in sales in Korea, quite interesting increase in Japan. And I have a disastrous situation with my sales of my wines in China. Unfortunately, 0 orders this year, and this brings my whole exports into a very difficult situation. I hope it will get better, and I'm really happy for Korean market, for Japanese market, that people do drink wine. I'm not present yet in Singapore or Taiwan, but we will work on that soon. So what I can say is I totally confirm what you guys told today. I'm happy to see you today.
So I have a question to Natalie.
Yeah, sure.
Nearly all wine fairs in Europe and in Asia are cancelled or postponed. And what should the wine producers do if they want to enter the Asian market? in particular
Yeah,
in Hong
it's,
Kong and in China?
Yeah, it's
Would you
actually,
put suggestions?
yeah, it is. Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's a very relevant question. I think it's a question that a lot of producers ask themselves now, like how do you connect with your partners in the foreign export market and the end consumers when a lot of the wine fairs are canceled? And actually, I just wrote an article, I think VinExpo, which was scheduled to be held this month, just announced they're going digital as well. In China, at the moment, there are two major wine fairs that still are going to happen, which is Pro Wine China in Shanghai, and then Italy's Wine to Asia in Shenzhen. Both fairs are scheduled for next month. But as we all know, international travels are impossible right now. And you can, even if you participate, you can only rely on maybe your China representative or maybe your importers or partners in China to help pour your wine and be your spokesperson. But for a lot of producers who don't have representation in China, this is a dilemma. Basically, they won't have anyone to champion their wines. And naturally, of course, we've seen some virtual wine fairs. I've seen Chengdu Wine Fair, which is the biggest trade fair in China, going digital in May. They said the page views, traffic was quite good, but when I talked to some wineries, the response was not so great because it's very hard to follow up the order. Even for Chinese-speaking importers, in China communicating with people, it's very hard because a lot of the importers are trying to deplete their stocks. And for them to adding on, expanding their portfolio is quite challenging this year. So let alone for someone perhaps living in Europe, in Portugal, to make inroads with the possible buyers in China, it's very challenging, I have to say. So I will just suggest, but once again, when I was talking to another importer from Korea, he was telling me he held a very small scale, like a virtual wine fair, 30 producers with importers, sort of like matchmaking.
Yes,
And
I made it.
Yeah, that was quite good. He said
Yeah,
it's
that
very
was quite good.
effective. Yeah, I think going for smaller scale wine fairs and make useful inroads to talk to people, actually make the time to realize and sending your samples in advance to potential clients that you want to meet, set up a Zoom meeting or virtual meeting, get the samples and then taste the wines together and talk about that. I think that's more effective instead of going to large scale wine fairs where you don't know what's the schedule or what's going to happen with the fairs, and always follow it up. Especially when you are going to China, you have to understand unfortunately, Facebook, Instagram, everything else is banned there. So you have to be flexible and use WeChat to communicate with people. Make that extra effort to use WeChat, make contacts with people, just checking in with your partners and just to ask around, drop a line, like who is the best person you think I should get in contact with, just to be in touch with the market. It starts from there, just make some small gestures. I think that's always an easy way to get started. Yeah.
And how about in Singapore, Clinton? If nearly this year all wine fairs are cancelled or postponed, and if the wine producers want to enter the Singaporean market, what should they do?
No, definitely not. I mean, all wine fairs have been shelved. Everything has gone virtual. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, the best way to connect is ultimately virtual. I think there are a lot of wineries that have obviously sent samples across. So you can't taste them in person, but you can taste them, privately, and then after that you can discuss accordingly. I think that's kind of the new norm, so we have to embrace it. But the market is definitely interesting, is developing more in our opinion, always for the mid to the super high end. The wider market is it's too diluted. So we're there, but it's not a growth area for us. It's not easy, but you know, we don't get we don't get any travelers now. So I think you just got to focus on the domestic market.
And now I see Jason Willis of WSET. Hello, Jason, do you hear me?
Hello, Jason. Good to see you.
Yeah. So can you explain how is the influence on WSET? That would be very interesting for
Well,
us.
it's been pretty dramatic. Obviously, there's been a huge drop in the number of students. Just lockdowns and lack of being able to travel. Diploma students certainly being affected, but it's also been like Clinton says, there's a silver lining, and we've been planning for some time to introduce kind of digital end-to-end solutions, and that this kind of expedited it. So this is why now we have a lot more students doing online classes. There's ebooks been offered, and basically everything can be done pretty much online, including some of the examinations. So numbers have still been down, and it's a long road up, but market by market, I mean, Japan has been sorry to say, Mami, but it's been a disaster this year, whereas Korea has actually been doing okay. So yeah, every market's a little bit different. Yeah, it's hard to see. I'm just going back to the fairs. I mean, that's a really good. There was a discussion. I think, Natalie, I had seen your article, and I don't know whether it was on LinkedIn or Facebook. You kind of opened the question, like, what's the future of fairs going to be like? Whether it's going to be commercial or consumer driven. But for example, for us, for Pro Wine in Shanghai, none of our staff are going there. We're not having a booth, and yet we're running master classes there, and that will be live streamed. So it's kind of like we're doing even the fairs remotely. So yeah, it's really interesting times, and where's it going to go from here? Is this a permanent change, or are things going to get back to the way they were?
Yeah, in Japan, that we already have some tasting fairs that this month, Wine Complex. I don't know whether you have heard about this. It's a very small wine fair. I mean, small meaning that more smaller importers participate, but the participation fee is very, very reasonable, like somewhere around 60,000 yen. And these small importers come in and let people taste. This is already on. And next month, also the Spanish Wine Association's tasting is on this month. And then next month, Union de Grand Cru is coming back. So
not only the wines, the producers as well?
Yeah.
Wow, great.
Yeah, so it's just that I do understand, like, I'm sure that Jose would agree with me that if you don't have an importer now, it's not a good time to push them because they're struggling. But at the same time, if you don't do anything in 2 years' time, 2 years' time, you won't get the results. So perhaps it's not a bad idea to consider going to this kind of a small fair with the help of whoever, or with a importer. Even if you are already represented, you still need to keep pushing. So you'll ask an importer to participate in this kind of a small fair, spending little money. And if you're a small producer, I know it's difficult, but if you're a big producer, already have importers here, very important to help them regarding SNS, because they have so much, importers have to look after so many brands and producers. They cannot look after each brand's, each products regarding the, their Instagram and Facebook. And also we have a language barrier, as you know, so everything have to be in Japanese. So if you have relatively good budget and a big winery, you should really help your importers with this kind of thing. Because if you don't show your face, people forget you very easily. Visibility is the key during this period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions? Jose from Spain, maybe? Hello, Jose?
Hello?
Yeah?
I was too noisy.
Yeah, do you have any questions?
Mami is right. We are now, this year in Japan, we increased the sales a bit more. and all our importers has a meeting by Zoom, like today, and because the importers of any country cannot go to the fair in Germany, for example. ProWine was cancelled, Bull Wine was cancelled yesterday, so the importers try to do other ways. So the research of the new products they do on the fairs, now they do with the actual supplier. So I increase with the new products my importers in Japan. So this is good because we have a meeting every few days by Zoom, and we presented the new products to them, and is very helpful for us. So Japan, Korea, and China, we are increasing and increasing. Europe is blocked. Holland, Ireland, all the importers around the Europe are very, very slow, and they have also problems for payments because they cannot sell. They only sell for few bottles by internet, but it is a difficult situation in Europe. I don't know why. Asian countries is working well, but Europe is blocked. Also, USA market, we decrease our sales a lot. So Europe, Africa, USA, Canada, all go down, but Asia countries go up for us.
Very interesting. And Clinton, maybe my last question to you. The Singaporean wine market is very mature. How about the wines from East European countries? We are here, someone from Hungary and from Moldova as well. Do they have a good chance in Singapore market?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Singaporeans in general are still very mainstream oriented. There are obviously representations of niche markets, but they're still very, very small. And because they are not cuisine-led, which means they don't have French restaurants, Italian restaurants, Spanish restaurants to lead that growth in terms of on-premise experience consumption, that in turn has a slower uptake for them for the take-home trade. But then, I mean, you know, the great thing about wine is that we cannot drink the same wine every day. It is about a journey. It is about the experience. And like we were sharing just now about, you know, Asia Wine Trophy is yes, we can do it by Zoom, but the experience of having it in Daejeon with CJ, with Jihyung, with everybody, this is really what the wine business is all about. It is not just about tasting the wine, but about the experiences, the memories, the terroir, the country, and everything that we share. So this is the greatest thing about our business, but yet it is the most restrictive now in this current circumstance. So there's always an opportunity. There's always, not just in Singapore, but for every country, because in the wine world, unlike the spirits world, we are spoiled for choice. We want to try something different. The spirits world is a little bit more restrictive, and there are lesser products, or in terms of the variation of products. But in the wine world, we want to try something different every day. We want to experience something different every day.
It means East European wines have a good chance in Singapore.
I think, to be fair, all wines have a good chance in Singapore and in all countries. But it's a matter of where you find where your position is. Do you want to be niche? How do you want to position yourself? Or do you want to be mainstream? And you know, it's about whether you want to be the best leader or the worst leader, the best follower or the worst follower. You know what I mean? So understanding that, once you got that down, you understand where you are, you're practical about it, you should be okay.
Great. Andrew, I think the time is over. It would be great if you can make a closing comment. And from my side, I can say to you, thank you very much for joining this webinar. It was very nice to see you all here on the screen and to hear from you. And but the most important thing is our health. Stay healthy and safe. And our friend, the key speaker, Andrew, will make now closing comment. And then I hope
Thank you.
to
Thank
see
you,
you all
CJ.
soon again. Yeah.
Yeah. Last comment I want to say is, I really wish to see you next year in Daejeon. Okay. And thank you for sharing the information, valuable information. And stay healthy and with your beloved ones. And see you next year. Yes, yeah.
See you next year.
See you next year.
Sure. Thank you so much.
See you soon
Thank you
again.
so much.
Bye bye.
Nice to see you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Stay
Thanks,
safe and
everyone.
healthy.
Take care.
Bye bye. 잠깐만 놔둬 사람들이 나. 내가 모르는 사람은 여기서 화면 안 나온 사람은 이 사람은 얼굴 나온 사람 나머지 다 아는 사람. 생각보다 너무 적자 수가 적다.
Bye bye. Mr. Park, are you still?
Hello? Yeah. Now I hear
Are
you.
you still online? I saw yesterday on Facebook
Yeah.
a shipment of the Tokai Nobilis winery. You may remember Charlotta.
Yeah.
Has been shipped to Korea.
Wow, that's great.
So please follow.
Yeah.
Follow up where it goes and how it is received by the buyers. Okay.
Yeah.
I shall send you the photo of the warehouse where it was taken.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that the wine you know will appear on the market in South Korea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's a pleasure to see you.
See you soon again. Bye bye. 사람들은 지금 저기 막 시간을 착각해갖고 이제 들어오려고 그러는 것 같아, 그치? 조농 나도 안 해. 그 위에는 안 들어왔어, 조농은. 조농은 저기 대만 소믈리에 명예회장이고 나온 친구인데. 여기서 아니 여기서 끝내요.